Good evening, everyone. Good to see you.
Do you want to click on the link for that, Laura?
Sure.
Hi, everyone. We
All
thought we'd
right.
start with a little brain warm up while everyone's entering the room.
Okay, so how to restart, Judy?
Yeah. So if you haven't played set before, we thought this would be a fun brain warm up for computational thinking. I had the deck of cards with my students probably 30 years ago before I had heard the phrase computational thinking, and now you can play it online. So if you've never played set before, the idea is to get three, I would say matching in quotes, but they're all different. So you're not really matching them to be all the same, but all different. Um, so, well, this is the challenge part, or they could be all the same. So it could be like three of the green squiggles, three of the red squiggles, and if there was a third, three of the purple, but there's not. It could be, so Laura, click on, just as an example, the solid triangles, solid three purple, solid three green. So they're all three, but they're all a different shape and they're all a different color. So the three triangles.
Okay, sorry, I don't see triangles, Judy.
Oh, diamonds.
Sorry. Okay, so I was like, okay, am I going crazy? Okay, that one.
Three purples to the right of that, and then the three green squiggles at the bottom. So that would be a set. And so if you get a set, then it goes to the right. If it's not a set, it just basically says try again. So we won't finish this, but does anybody else see a set? It's just our little brain warm up.
Um,
If we're going in
the,
sets of two, sorry, go ahead. So if we're going in sets of two, I mean, was the two purple that look like S, and the two stripes, and then the two ovals?
No, because in that
hmm.
case, there's two of the same, not three. So
Oh, because they have to be the same shape, or I thought it was quantity.
so they either all three have to be the same or all three have to be different. That
So
makes
the
this.
bottom, second to the left. So nope, the other one. Yep. And then kitty corner to that, the single diamond, purple.
This
No,
one here.
yep,
Okay.
yep, and the one right above it.
Yep. So how did you pick those, Carrie?
I followed your lead and I did three different colors and three different shapes.
And they're all filled in different. Let's see if we can get one more. It's kind of addicting the more you play. Oh, Melanie put one in there. So try Laura the red single squiggle.
It was the same one she just did.
Oh, is it the one? Oh, gotcha. I'm sorry.
Typed it. Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody see any others?
Okay, this might be a long shot, um, but the single purple diamond and the double red diamond, and then the triple red diamond. No, all right, I'm out.
So what would have made that work is if one of those two red diamonds had been green. But great try.
What about the single green, the, no, never mind. What about the top three across the top except the green? Would that work, Judy?
Let's try it. So solid diamond.
So yeah, two and then yeah. Oh, good.
Yep. Yep. So all three red, all three different shape, all three different shadings.
So then the purple that would work for the purple too, then, right? Oh,
All
yeah.
right. So just from a time standpoint, how might this game connect with computational thinking?
there's a specific set of rules. You got to look for the patterns or kind of abstraction almost. Because me, I'm still sitting here thinking like, what could be a set? It makes you think.
Yeah, definitely. So there is definitely patterns, breaking them down because you're having to really think about the different shapes, the different shading, the different colors. Is it stretching your brain muscles? Tonight, when none of you can fall asleep at night, you'll all be playing this. It'll Well, thank you for engaging. We thought that this was a fun way just to get started and a little brain warm up, but definitely incorporates. I mean, you could even pull out abstraction if you wanted to, just like not looking at the others and just maybe just focusing in on like I'm going to just look at shapes, or I'm going to just look at colors, or I'm just going to look at the shading. And so these kind of activities can be just great 5-minute warm-ups for your students that exercise your brain in a different way. So thank you for engaging. That was just our little warm up. And then I will put the sign-in sheet back into the chat, and then Laura is going to get us started.
All right. Well, welcome. You know, we've been loving the posts in the Padlet. We're having so much fun seeing how you're interacting. So just welcome to our second Zoom meeting. We learn as we go. Definitely some of the questions you've asked had us scrambling even this evening to think of a way to make something better for all of you. But we've just love just the way that you're interacting with the content. It's been a lot of fun. Well, you know us. We're Judy and Laura, and I wish I had the energy of that person jumping out of the box, but I feel like I could fall asleep standing up. All right, today we just really wanted to review the course. We wanted to give, just a few minutes to review those computational thinking elements, preview box number 2 activities, and explore the tools that we're going to be using in box number 2. So just in reviewing our course, what you've received so far in box 1 and box 2, of course, we encourage you to keep your eye on this virtual room. It's really just laying out the aspects of the course. All of you participated in the scavenger hunt, so we've been able to pair you according to the screen name that you chose with your activity in the Padlet. And you've got that little learning roadmap that walks you through all of the may do, must do, and I can't remember the 3 things that we've divided them into, but I think you see that that's color coded with the Padlet. And the Padlet, like I said, you've been interacting with. I'm going to show you a couple things about that in just a second. We've now included the final project in the mastery check. Most of you have been looking at the progress checker, and that is how we are able to award you with sketches at the end of our course. So this is our little activity tracker in our little roadmap. And here are my words that I couldn't find: aspire to do, may do, must do. And the yellow ones are the ones that are counting for your sketches as you're seeing on that CT progress tracker. All right, so I'm going to shift out of here for just a second. I just want to show you a couple things on the Padlet that we wanted to make sure we talked to you about. Let me get back to the Padlet. Okay, so one of them is, and we realized that it wasn't probably as clear as we had hoped it would be, but when you get to this point and you're exploring the books, you're actually going to click on the image of our little character Jack and go to another Padlet. But again, we don't think we made that clear. I posted a note to all of you last night, and if you did post under this particular image, we just moved it over into the Padlet. The other thing that we realized wasn't as clear is when you get to the interactive read aloud planning and implementation, and what we hope that you'll do is once you've planned out that read aloud for your class, you can take a picture of your book with the sticky notes in it, or you can taking just snap a picture of the anchor chart that you're using to guide the students, with whatever your, concepts you're focusing on in that read aloud. You could even, record yourself reading the read aloud. We always love seeing things like that. And then you'll move over to the reflection. So we just added this just so that it would be clear. Last year we kind of combined the two, and we thought it'd be nice to kind of see you go through the process of planning for that. All right, so let me get back into our activities here. All right, and as I said, I think that you're watching those updates in our CT tracker. We're trying to be diligent about getting to those two different Padlets every 24 to 48 hours. I said it when we first started, it's just been a lot of fun to see all the different ways you think of all these concepts and the ways that you're interacting with the books. All right. We added to that virtual classroom a mastery check. This will be done as you finish all of the activities. So you'll want to make sure that you complete that final reflection as your last step in the course. I know that we had dates along the top of the tracker. Please don't worry about the dates so much. We just know that by March 31st, we'll more or less, bring all of the activities to a close. So really that's your biggest deadline. If you feel like you're behind, you're not behind. Just, when you have time on a weekend or, in an evening, just, do as many of the activities as you can. All right. And we definitely want you to, save that date. As we said from our very first meeting, we have secured Detroit Institute of Arts on April 1st from 9:30 to 3. Lunch will be included. There's free parking on John R., which is the back side of the DIA. And there is substitute reimbursement for Tri-County educators. What we want you to do, and I know we sent it to you in our email reminders this week, but we want to make sure that you let us know if you can come or you're planning on coming, so that we can, of course, plan with our educational liaison at the DIA. So if you just take a second, if you haven't already, to either take a screen, take a, use the QR code or the bit.ly, and just let us know if you're able to come. And I think Judy also put that in the chat for you. And when we think about computational thinking, we just wanted to just make sure that we're, keeping that at the forefront of these activities that we're doing. We're really looking at giving our students strategies for solving complex problems, but really thinking about how these work across the curriculum and give students the opportunity to do some of that, academic struggle, to really allow them to independently move through the pieces of a particular problem and develop their higher order thinking skills. We think about computational thinking as something that doesn't lead to a future career as a computer scientist. It's a fluency that we hope every student will have, because it gives them an opportunity to think and create. As Dr. Brennan says, it's just like reading and writing. Students are going to encounter problems no matter where they are, both personally and academically, later in their lives professionally. So we want them to be able to think about the steps you take to solve those problems. The benefits to our students, of course, are they will become more confident. They'll create solutions and understand their own thinking processes. And we really hope that those solutions are at times innovative and creative. We hope that they'll speak about their thinking and thought processes as they unpack a problem or look for patterns in a problem, and that they'll apply those problem-solving skills in technology-rich and technology-free environments, like they will, or you will, with the read alouds. All right, passing it over to Judy.
So as Laura has already kind of done a review of the elements of this course and also of computational thinking, what we want to do for really the bulk of this evening together is to dive a little into the items of your second box and what it is that you're going to be doing. So this is more like the making part, but as we're moving through this second half of the course, we just want to keep that whole computational thinking mindset in mind. And so we know that you've seen this before, but with the concepts on the left and then some of the applications on the right, and just keeping in mind that just because creating is beside decomposition, that's not, creating can apply to any of the different concepts as well as collaborating, debugging, and adapting. And so just putting on your computational thinking hat. Go ahead, Laura. And then in your first box, you received, of course, the Van Dusen books and the computational thinking. And then in your second box, you should have received the go ahead, Laura, the How to Code a Sandcastle, which especially really any level, but that's such a delightful book on making the analogies for some of the syntax in coding in imagery that's very relatable for people of all ages. And then the No Fear Coding. So again, even though that book says that it's K-5 curriculum, even if you're at a middle school, it will spring some other ideas on you of what that might look like. And so computational thinking is, of course, woven into there. But in designing this course, we very intentionally started with the literacy part, because if the end goal is for kids to be computational thinkers in their school life and also in their real life, we want them to see the connections to literacy and the different topics that we've already talked about. Whereas the second half, we're going to introduce the coding. And again, by design, we did that towards the end, because oftentimes when people think about computational thinking, they jump right to coding first. And not everybody has to be a coder in order to be a computational thinker. So with that, then what we'd like to do is we're going to give you guys some time. We're going to give you the big picture, so the end in mind of where we're going with all this. And then we're going to take a look at your microbits and give a little bit of intro into that. And this is the fun part. So we're going to start with sort of the end in mind. So Chris Van Dusen wrote 3 lovely books, but we are going to write an award-winning book collaboratively together around If We Built a Zoo. So we're going to jump into just the end in mind first. We're going to back out into some of the nuts and bolts. And then at the very end, we'll give you guys the link to get into this book. But right now, it's just the big picture. So ultimately, everybody in this group will collaboratively write this story in the style of Chris Van Dusen's other books. And everyone will, when they first come in, will grab a 2-page spread. And again, we'll go a little more into that in a few minutes. But then in the style of Jack, and so even though we're going to be creating some animals for the zoo, the story is being told by Jack. That's a key piece. And then I'll put it into this layout here, but everybody's going to grab 2 pages. So everybody will have a page where eventually they'll upload a picture or a video of their an animated animal that they're going to make. And then they'll have a side for the text, so that collaboratively we're writing the story that our friend Jack is going to write. And so in your second box, you got a lot of materials to make something. So you'll be creating and making an animal of your choice. It could be a real animal. It could be an imaginary animal. It can be whatever you'd like it to be, but it's going to be an animal that's going to live in our zoo. And then just as a couple of quick examples from some former people. So we'll be using the microbits to animate your animal. And again, what that looks like will be left to your imagination and creativity. But these are just a couple quick examples of how some folks have used materials. So here, So the horse there's moving his head, and this one here is, I'll jump this ahead a
Trunk?
little bit.
His trunk will move.
So their animation is the moving trunk. This one had a little bit of a broken,
Here is Penny the Peacock. After a ton of troubleshooting, we realized we have a faulty motor, but this was our vision.
so just some different examples of what folks have done to animate their animals. So in some cases, we've got wings moving. In some cases, we've got, oh, this one, I think the tail wags, or no, the head. So all of these were coded. There's now because you have you're going to have the hummingbird kits too. So there are things in there that you can, so in her case, she animated the tail, but she also coded the nose to be lit up as well too. So just some different examples of different animations. And so here's a butterfly and they coded it to have this was a still picture, but the lights were blinking. This on the right is an octopus.
Yeah.
So some animations are a little more motion than others, but we just thought it might be helpful to see some examples. So you see the creativity in the making of animals. And then our last just example here.
Yeah, I think.
It's got the little tail wagging. So in many of these, they had limited time, but you guys can make them as animated as you would like. And so it can be simple, it can be complex, but that is what our end goal is to do. So we're kind of bringing it all together. So again, what your task, our task collaboratively is going to be that Jack is building a zoo and he needs animals. So we're going to again use our maker materials that were in your box. You can use the box, you can use whatever you would like to first design and create an animal. And then we're going to do some coding with that. So things to consider is that, again, we want to keep it, when we get to the story writing part or as you're envisioning it, that Jack is using his imagination to optimize one space. So again, our space is going to be the zoo. And then we can always go back and look at the patterns of the former books to see, what Jack was thinking and how he brought his imaginative ideas to life. And then again, you're going to plan it and you're going to code it. And we'll talk about your hummingbird kit in just a moment and your microbit that's in there. So again, just thinking about what is it that you want to animate? Do you want to move the tail, move the wings, move blinking eyes? It could be multiple things. It could be one thing. So you'll just be thinking about what is it, because you have to have that end in mind so you know what it is that you're coding. And then at the very end, you will record a video, and if you're not familiar with Book Creator, we'll show you that in a moment, but you could do that right within the Book Creator app, and then we'll collaboratively write that story. So sort of our roadmap for this is we're going to use FigJam that some of you, we all did in the first virtual, we did some connector activities with that. So we're going to be going back into a FigJam, but just to kind of give you the layout of it, is that in the document that you received in your book, you may or may not have noticed, but there's numbers for each of the different activities. So as you see circled there, activity 4 is bringing your attention to the book No Fear Coding. So in the FigJam that we're going to go to, and Laurel will put these in the chat, and we'll send the whole slide deck at the end too as a resource. So there's nothing for us to do into here tonight. It's more just making you aware of it. But in the FigJam, this is really going to be your roadmap for moving through the process for the second box. So you'll notice here's number 4 here. So number 4 here aligns with your handout. And then down here we have 5. And so there's quite a few number 5s. And then at the end we have number 6. So the first activity is just drawing your attention to the 2 books that we had already alluded to. And so in the second book, No Fear Coding, we are not asking you to read the whole thing, but we are asking to read chapters 2 and 3, which are like super short, super short. And then there's a link there just to capture some of your responses, but we've done it in a way that we think you'll find enjoyable and fun. So it's the game of quotes. And so we just have you reading the part that speaks specifically to computational thinking. And again, it's only a few pages. It's not long at all. But again, just deepening our background knowledge, and then follow the arrows. And so down here, just so that we don't have a book of 14 zebras, we're just asking that again, keeping in mind Jack's style, his imagination for optimizing, in our case, the zoo. Like, what animal might you think needs to be in the zoo, and think about the habitat. So you would just simply grab the text tool at the bottom, come up here and type in your information. So again, the point of this is that we have a variety of different animals in our zoo. So if you already know what animal you'd like and you want to grab it, go for it. So collectively, we're going to be putting all of our videos and that into our book creator, but we thought here would be a great place just to grab a snapshot of your animal. So you did this in our opening activity with box 1, but similarly, you'll just click on the red button there, and you don't even need to be in the picture unless you want to. You could just step aside and take a photo of just your creation. So this will be sort of our repository of animals. So we're building all of the pieces, and then again, following the arrows. This is where you're going to plan out your animation. So again, thinking about, hypothetically, if you decide to do a zebra, what is it that you want to have moved? Do you want his tail to move? Do you want his ears to wiggle? Do you want his leg to move? So think about what is going to be your goal for animation. So again, grab the text tool, add your information there. So this is our planning. And then here are all the directions and links that you need to make that happen. And we're going to go over some of this tonight, but especially for people who maybe aren't here tonight, or we all need that, like, what did she say? So everything is linked in here for tutorials, how to get set up, YouTube videos, programming the basics. So everything you need is here. So this section is more informational. And then continuing along, now we're in activity number 6. And so this is, again, just kind of bringing us back to our 3 books, because we want to refresh our memories on where we saw the different computational thinking elements. Because again, we're going to be writing a book in the style of Chris Van Dusen's book. So again, this is really meant for a little bit of a refresher. And then moving along is where we will end with the book creator. So again, the directions here are just a refresher of what Chris has done in his previous books, and that the focus of our book is really told through the lens of Jack. And so we're not writing about our animals. We're writing about the zoo and how Jack envisions they, for example, like that animal living in, whatever habitat that Jack's perspective. And so you have this document here that does provide some information, but the FigJam takes you into more of like the nitty-gritty. So really all of your directions are on this FigJam, with a couple places for you to enter in, again, your name, your animal, your habitat, take a photo of your animal, links to all the resources that you would need for coding, and then a refresher of where computational thinking fits into all 3 of the books, like across all 3 books. So patterns across all the books, decomposition across all the books, because again, as we write the 4th book, we want to continue in that same style. So that's big picture overview that we want. So we thought before we get into the hands-on part of this, just open it up to any questions just about big picture and where we're going with the second box. And feel free just to unmute. Our hope is at this point is that it does not feel overwhelming. Our hope is that it feels like this is going to be fun. And you are not alone in doing this, so we are here to help you as well too. And even in the Padlet, if you have questions, you can comment in there too, so we can help and support one another. So if you do have questions, just at any point, just stop. Okay, so out of curiosity, I don't know, is there anyone, maybe just with like a thumbs up in your screen, has anybody used microbits before? A few people, okay. Great, 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 great. Oh no, don't restart my machine now. Okay, so I'm going to, actually, I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment. And so in your hummingbird kit, so hopefully you have your hummingbird kit near you. So you should have your little microbit in there. This is the version 2. So this is the most recent microbit. And so as with anything, you can make it as simple or as sophisticated as you want, which is the beauty of it. And so because this is part of the hummingbird kit, there is not a separate battery pack just for, well, there is, but we don't need to use that yet. So with it, it'll be powered up. You should have a USB cord in there. And I just have it plugged into my laptop and we'll plug it in there and that will power it up. So it needs either battery source power or USB power or it doesn't work. In your Hummingbird kit, part of why Laura and I chose this is that it has a lot of additional features that you might, oh no, don't. There's just additional parts that might open up more possibilities for you to animate your animal. Because if we were just with the microbit for the most part, you would be limited to just your LED panel. And so you might make it smile, you might make it blink, you might do things of that nature, but you really can't bring in motion. And that's where the Hummingbird kit's going to come in, is that provides motion. So this little breadboard here might look and feel very overwhelming, but please don't be overwhelmed, because I assure you that when you look at the tutorials in that, so again, and we're going to show you in a minute, but let's say, for example, you go, you know what, I already know what animal and I want to make the tail move. So if you're going to want to make something move, you'll be using this thing called a servo. And this is basically like your little motor. So there is a tutorial link that I'll show you in a moment that literally will give you step-by-step directions on what to do, like where to plug it in, even what to code. So as with so many of these things, sometimes we learn to code by getting examples of how to code. So one thing that Laura and I did learn, though, is that this particular servo that comes with the Hummingbird kit is the only one that works with this thing, because we tried to use just an off-brand servo with this and it didn't work. So you could use a servo, in different ways. I'm just saying, if you want to use the servo with the Hummingbird kit, it has to be the servo that comes with the kit. So that was learning for us. The other learning that we had was you should have each received 4 batteries in your kit also with the battery pack. So even if you have everything eventually plugged in, your servo is not going to work unless it's plugged into the battery pack, because their servo requires a little more juice than what you're going to get from just your computer. So that would be like a troubleshooting tip, that if you've got everything plugged in and you're like, why is my servo not moving? It could be that it doesn't have enough juice. So you have to make sure that the battery pack is plugged in for that. Just the other thing I just want to point out, and again, depending on how you want to animate your animal will depend on what you plug in. But if you look at the like just the yellow, the blue, the green, if you kind of look on the board, particularly let's just say the yellow, do you see where there's on the black part, it says a plus and a minus, plus and a minus, plus and a minus? That's going to make a difference depending on what you do. So when we did this with another group, people didn't notice that right away. And so when you, let's say, for example, you wanted to use one of your lights to plug into that, and you're using the little, you're snapping in the little wires, it does matter. So again, if you plug in the wires and you're like, why is it not going on? You might have the positive and the negative and the negative and the positive. So a troubleshooting tip would be switch the cords and make sure you've got them in the right place. And then in doing that too, they do kind of snap. So if you, I don't think you can really see it so much with your little eyes, but on the top of them, almost like the little piece that looks like a Lego piece, if you just push that down, it's very small, but the hole opens up. And if you let go, it closes. So if you are putting in those metal wires, it does help, maybe. And so the other thing that we put in your kit, I don't have mine with me right now, but it was the little screwdriver. Yeah, yeah. So there's a little screwdriver, a little something in there. So either, yeah, use the one that comes with the Hummingbird kit. And then we also gave you, I think it was like a Classroom Makers little screwdriver thing. So that can be really helpful if you feel like your fingers are, too big and you can't get in there. That's where that might help. And then it also can be helpful too if you are if you have the screw still on the back of your battery pack. So those are kind of the big things for that. But for tonight, we thought we would just play with the microbit just to give everybody a little bit of a success and where the resources are. And again, everything that I'm going to be clicking on, everything's linked on that FigJam. So it's all there. So I'm going to share again. Are there any questions at this point? Okay. So let me share again. Okay, so again, I know that you guys know this, but in general, the code that we input is going to dictate the output. So as you guys know, computers are dumb. We have to tell it what to do. And so we're going to start out at make code, and I promise I'll go back and slow down because I don't want anybody to be overwhelmed, but this will be your starting point for coding your microbit. And Laura will put all those chat links in the chat as well. So when you first come here, you could do a couple different things. I mean, if you want, you could just jump right in and start a tutorial if you want. Things are so well documented here that you could spend time and become an expert overnight. But we're going to just jump into a new project. And so when you click on new project for the first time, you can name it whatever you want. And I'll just say Zoo PLM box. And then I'll just say create. So it takes me right into my canvas. And so the nice thing is too right now is that I'm not plugged into anything. Anything that I do on the right, which is my coding canvas, is going to display on the left. So technically you could have your kids doing coding without a device to get started and just practice. And it's browser based, so you don't need to download anything. There's no pieces that you need to do this part. So just kind of doing a little picture walk across the screen real quick. So again, we've got our visual digital representation on the left of whatever we code, the output, what it's going to look like. We've got our coding blocks here in the middle, and then our canvas is on the right. So anything that's on the right, if we code it correctly, is going to be what's our output displayed on the left. Now we're going to stay living in the block coding, but if you've got kids that are at a higher level, you can toggle between the JavaScript, the backend coding, And you could do raw coding if you want. That is not for me, but you can. And then, so sometimes it's nice too, just to kind of take the, what's behind the curtain so that kids recognize that it's not magic, that there is, this higher level coding behind the scenes on all of that. So just moving along towards the right, at the end, if you were doing this with kids, there is a share button, so they could share, you could grab a link and they could share that code back with you. So that could be from either like a turning in or just a helping troubleshoot type of a situation. And then under the gear here, we've got extensions, and right now you see extensions here and you see extensions in the middle. We're going to go into that in just a moment. And so some of the things are in multiple places. We've got connect over here on the right. We're going to have connect down here on the bottom left. So if ever you get lost, come back up here to the gears. There is also different languages here too. So if you have kids coding in different languages, there are a lot of options there as well. And then down in the bottom right, you've got your zoom in, your zoom out, your undo, your redo. And then in a moment, we're going to come here and connect our device, but you can also save it'll save automatically, but you can also download it to save as well. So just trying to get ourselves set up. So right away, we can code the microbit, but we're going to get ourselves ready for the Hummingbird. So there is something that we need to do so that our microbit talks to the Hummingbird. So whether you click on it here in the middle or you go to the gear, I need you guys to click on extensions, because what we are looking for is the Hummingbird extension. So again, I'll go back. So either in our blocks in the middle here or under the gear, I need you to click on extensions. And once you're here, the quickest way to do it is just to type in Hummingbird, and you should get one option. And once you get it, just go ahead and click on it, and you'll know you did it right, because now in replace, what replaces the word extensions is now Hummingbird. You only need to do that once, and it now lives in this project. If I were, you don't need to do this, but if I were to go back to the main page here and start another new project, and I'll just say test, I just want you to notice that it's not there. I would have to do it again. So when you add that extension, it's only living in that current project. If you want it again in another project, you have to go get it again in that other project. So I'll come back to my Zoo PL in a Box, and you see that it is there. So before we go any farther, is there anybody that couldn't find that, needs help, or are we good?
Judy, Rachel's isn't working. I'm not sure, her Hummingbird is not working. I tried to think of all the things, the batteries, the power pack switch on.
We can help troubleshoot that a little bit later too. I mean, if it's like if you've downloaded a code to it and it's not working, I don't know if a code has been downloaded to it or not yet. Because
I just turned on my microbit and it's showing this, but this is typical of what you can typically can find when you first plug it in. It'll show whatever was last downloaded on it until you download something new. But I do know whenever I work with microbits with the kids, I tell them it can't have two power sources. So if you
Right.
have it plugged into the battery pack and your computer, you could potentially fry it. And whenever we download code to the microbit, we do it independent, and then we unplug it and we plug it into whatever that other device is. So if you're trying to work the two, there's probably no code for the LED on the Hummingbird yet. There shouldn't be, otherwise, because you would have downloaded it.
Yeah, thank you for adding that, Jennifer.
Okay,
These are very, very cool.
so the lights won't light up until I put code into it.
Right. So we'll just do, and I know that
Okay.
we've got some microbit experts in the room, but we're gonna I just want everyone to have like a moment of success with this before we move on. So yes, you have to have code. So probably the easiest. So anything that's over here is where your code's going to be. So let's just keep it really simple right now and go to the basic and grab that show icon, and you can just drag it to your canvas. And you'll notice that if I just have it sitting out there by itself, it's got that yellow, it's just shaded out because it's basically like, I don't know what you want me to do. But if I drag it into on start, now it says, oh, like you just gave me some directions. And so you can click on the drop down arrow if you want to make it a different shape. It defaults to a heart. I'm just going to leave it on a heart. But now if you notice on the left, it shows the heart. So it's not really doing anything other than just displaying right now. If I went back over to basic and just, I'll grab it again, and maybe I'll have it just do a check mark. And now you see over here on the left, if I click play again, it's going to show the heart, then the check mark, because that's all I've told it to do. On start, show the heart, show the check mark. So this is super basic. I just want to have everybody have success for a moment. So if you could get something on your start, so again, if you just want to default to just show a heart, I want to connect your microbit so that you've got success. So again, I'm using the cord plugged into my computer, and I'm just plugging it in. I'm not using the Bluetooth, I'm using the wire. And then down here in the lower left, you should get a choice to say connect it to the device if you've never done it before. So I'm going to connect it. And then I'm pairing it. So I'm just following the steps. And then once I get to the top, it says it wants to connect to it. And then I say connect. So again, I plugged it in first, then I said to connect it. And then I just walked through the little steps. And if I click on those three buttons again, you'll notice that it now says disconnect, not connect. And then on my device, the image that you saw on the left and the digital representation now shows here. So I've got the heart. And if I play it again, you'll see it goes from the heart to the check. Why didn't I do the check? I have to download it. I forgot that part. I need to click on the download. So now you'll see it goes. And so if I play it again, so I connected it, then I downloaded my code. So you'll notice now it does the heart. And then the check. So if you haven't already, plug in your device, connect it, pair it, and then click on that download so that your code downloads to your microbit. And what you saw on the screen, you should now see on your device. Hopefully you're having some success. This is the hard part of doing this part virtual because it's hard to like not walk around and see what everyone is doing. But then you can play around with the different things as well. If you don't want something, you just highlight it, hit delete, you could drag it out, and it's not connected to the code, so it could just live there, or you can delete it again. And then again, so you can play around with it if you want things to blink, play an experiment. That's the best part of all of this, is that you're not going to break anything. I mean, unless you maybe step on the microbit, but I mean, from a code standpoint, you're not going to break anything. So just explore, experiment. The Hummingbird extensions, these are obviously specific to the Hummingbird. So before I move on to where you're going to find some tutorials for the Hummingbird, are there any questions on just connecting? And here's where Laura and I would invite you, and again, knowing that we have a range of experiences in the room right now, that again, whatever your animation goal is, like part of the learning, as you would do with your students, is just in the struggle and the playing around and trying it and say, well, what happens if I add a pause? Okay, well, if I want it to blink, I might want to think about a forever loop because I want it to, blink and have motion and animate it. So again, we just invite you to experiment and play around with it. There are tutorials built in everywhere here. So the one that I do want to just show you is, okay, so this link is in the FigJam and also in the slide deck. But when you were in Microbit back here, your tutorials were right here at the top of the page. So you can explore those at your leisure. For the Hummingbird, it's not quite as intuitive, but they are there. So I'll just walk you through this. So I'm on the learning page. I'm going to click on program, and then it's going to ask what OS I'm using. So I'm on a Mac. So I'm going to just say Mac, and I'm looking for tutorials with the make code. So I'm choosing those two. You'll choose whichever ones match the device that you're on, and then we're all going to click make code. And then I'll say next. And then if I click program again, now it gives me tutorials that are specific to what I needed it. And so here's where you can look and say, okay, I know that I want my zebra's tail to move, which means I'm going to need the servo. So how do I move the servo? So we've got the position one and the rotation one. So maybe you want the tail to go all the way around, like 360. Maybe you're like, I only want it to go, 45 degrees, 45 degrees. So again, it depends on what is your end in mind. So I'll just click on the position servo for a moment. And this is the style of all the tutorials that are there. So it just walks you through a little introduction, and then it takes you literally step by step with little video tutorials. So again, it'll help you build the code. It'll show you how to plug things in. So everything here connects to the different materials that are in your Hummingbird kit. So again, if you go back to this main page, program is the button that you want. I mean, you can explore the others as well. But the first time you click on program, again, it will ask you what device you're on, and then you have to specify that you want tutorials for make code. So I'll stop again. Are there any questions on that? And again, back on your FigJam, everything is here. Everything is linked here. So the Humming Learning Portal, that's the link that I was just on. And then you've got links to all your different tutorials.
Judy, Stephanie had a question. When you don't have a USB on your laptop, can you just use a USB-C adapter?
Yeah, that's what I'm using. Yeah, that's what I have right now. And it's working, so. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna come back here. So what we would like to do is, I think, what do we say, Laura? So we're just gonna give you about 8 minutes just to play around with that. So jump into make code and get some success with making sure that your device is paired, that you can download something, get your Hummingbird set up so that you can find the tutorials. And like I said, we're just going to give you a few minutes right now to explore those a little bit. And then if you have any questions, just unmute and we'll try to help you. Yeah, Corinne?
Hi, Judy. I'm just trying to figure out how to get to that Bird Brain Technologies. Did you say the link was somewhere, or how do we get into that?
Yeah, so here, I'll put it in the chat, but it's also on the FigJam.
Thank you.
Yep. So on the FigJam, it's at the bottom of the page. So I will say too that in the second box with sketches and whatnot, we built in the sketches knowing that like there's going to be time to just play. Like, again, depending on how sophisticated you want to make things, everybody's starting at a different point. But we would just invite you to be playful and to just remind you that honestly, other than stepping on these devices, you're not going to break it. So that's the great part of this, is that you get that immediate feedback. If you try this, what's the output? Is it doing what I want it to do? What happens if I put in a forever? What happens if I put in a pause between? And again, so just be playful.
So I have one more question. Once I get into the bird brain technologies section, what do I click on to get to the
Click
the
on
main
program.
program? Okay.
Yep. And then the first time you do it, it's going to ask you, are you on a Chromebook, a Windows, a Mac? And then choose make code and then the next button. And then you shouldn't have to do that part again. So once you do that the first time, it's going to take you back to this page. Click program again, and then it'll take you to this page.
Okay.
I have a question. So, am I supposed to be plugging it into computer and battery pack or no?
So for right now, you should be, I mean, we plugged in the microbit with the USB cord to the computer. Once you've coded things, so again, you plug it in, you pair it the first time, and then whatever you code, you're going to want to download to the device. But so we're not using the Hummingbird right now. We're just doing the microbit. But once you start coding and adding some of those Hummingbird extensions into your code, then you are going to, and this might sound silly, but it took Laura and I forever to find this, and some of you are going to go, that wasn't a problem at all. But once you have your batteries in the battery pack, we had a hard time finding like where you plugged in the battery thing. So it is on the side. You can't see this there. So it is on the side there. So it does, I know this is hard to see. So it does plug into the side there as well. And then what you'll do for that is, hang on a second. So if you're just doing the microbit, you plug it in with the cord into your computer. When you do the microbit with the Hummingbird, I don't know if you could see there, but I slid it into the side. Can you see that okay, Risa?
I can see it.
So I plugged it into the side there and then it's powered. So it's like step one, I have this. So I'm coding in make code. I've added my extensions. I'm coding. I'm plugging it into this to download the file to my microbit.
Okay.
Then I unplug from the cord and then I'm plugging it into the Hummingbird, which is then powered by the battery pack.
Makes sense. Thank you.
And how do you get this microbit into this? It just goes in the back end of it? I'm not sure how to plug it in.
Yeah, so it's opposite the side that the cord is plugged into. So on the opposite side, so I have the microbit buttons, like the front of the microbit facing towards the ceiling. And then I'm just snapping it in.
So it just like slides right into that
Yeah.
slot on the end.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a little mail slot, like if you're putting mail in a mailbox.
Yeah.
There's a little
Yeah.
slot at the end, and then again, the front of the microbit faces the ceiling, so you want those buttons facing up.
The yellow ones, these yellow ones right here.
Yeah, so like your LED panel that would face towards the top.
I see. So I was able to put the heart on the microbit and I have it plugged into my computer. So now what you're saying is I have to unplug it first and then put it into here?
Correct. So if you're just using, like if your animation is, I'm just gonna make a smile, go from smile to frown, smile to frown, smile to frown. Like if that's your animation, then you don't even need the Hummingbird. Because your
I see.
animation is, so maybe so maybe you build your character with like literally an open slot, and maybe you position make your microbit behind that so that you've animated the smile. So if you're just using LED lights on the microbit, you don't need the hummingbird. So
Mhm.
you would just have it plugged into the cord. If you want to use, if you want to use the servo motor, if you want to, have blinky lights, if you want to have audio, if you want to have a buzzer, like any of those peripherals, those
Mhm.
then be all plugged into the hummingbird, and then you would
Mm,
create the hummingbird extension. So you would have hummingbird woven into your code. So
I see.
if that's how you're coding your animation, then you're doing all that in MakeCode, and then you're downloading it to
To
your
here.
microbit. Yep. And then
Your volume's cutting out. I can't hear you.
taking it off and technically then plugging it into the hummingbird. No, sorry, so everything that you code, whether you use the hummingbird or not, all your code is in MakeCode. And eventually you have to plug it in, download it to your device. So you want to get that code onto your microbit. And then after it's on your microbit, then you plug it into your hummingbird, which I don't right now, but if you're using the servo, you're going to have some of these other things plugged into your device too. So you're going to have other cords plugged up to here because you've coded the servo to move. Maybe you've coded, you've coded to have lights blink. So you would have all these cords plugged onto this breadboard. And so
Mhm.
with the code on your microbit, code is telling this device what to do with all those peripheral parts.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
That help?
Yeah.
So again, if you're not using any of these peripheral parts, then you don't need this breadboard.
But if I want it to like move, like the wings to move and then lights to go on and off, then I have to use all these other parts that are in the hummingbird kit.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Certainly. Okay, just because of time, we're going to move on, but just know that we are here if you want to ask other questions or, moving forward at any time, like reach out to us. So just again, because of time, we want to make sure that everybody can successfully get into the book creator. So what, we're going to do again, and Laura will put the link in the chat. If you've not used the book creator before, it is one of my very favorite tools. It's a blank canvas. It has accessibility built in. It has so many things. Like we're going to be doing just a few things with it, but Laura's going to put the link in there. And once you're in the book, it should take you to what you see on the screen. And once you get there, this is like the 30-second overview of Book Creator. In the upper right-hand corner, you basically have two buttons that are your best friends. You've got the plus, the yellow plus, and this is where you add different elements. And then you've got the I for information or inspector. And the I for information, what you see in that drop down is going to change depending on what you've clicked on. So for example, right now I'm just on the page. So everything under that I are choices that would be relevant to a page. If I click on a text box and this, I'm going to click plus, I'm going to add text because that's what you guys are going to do. I'm going to put my, come on, doesn't usually take this long, but it doesn't usually take that long. You just add a text box. But let me see if it's, let me do that again. I'll add a text box.
I have a question.
Okay, yeah.
When I clicked on the link in the chat box, it asked me to sign in.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Yes, if you've,
How to sign? I don't know if I'm a am I a student while I'm doing this or?
okay, thank you for saying that. I
You
forgot.
you want me to does the invite code do it? Because I can put that in the chat.
Yeah, so yeah, if this is your very first time ever being in Book Creator, then yes, you want to do teacher, not student. So you can do a Google single sign-on and you want to be the teacher. Because as a teacher, I know this isn't a Book Creator session, but as a teacher, you can create libraries, you can create books. If you sign in as a student, the only thing that you can do is join other people's books. So if you accidentally signed in for the very first time as a student, you will want to just email Book Creator and just say, oops, I'm really a teacher. Could you please, move my account from a student to a teacher? So you always want to sign in as a teacher, even if you're joining somebody else's book. And then I'll give you guys a moment before I go on.
So when I click on the link for the Book Creator, I come to a page that says it looks like you need to enlarge your screen and it won't let me do anything else.
Are you on an iPad or like a phone or a smaller?
No, I'm on a HP laptop.
I would maybe try a different browser and see if that makes a difference. Yeah, and then let me know.
Okay.
So I can see up here that I've got a few people that have joined in. So again, the 30-second overview is that the plus sign, I was able to add text to put my name, just so that we're not writing over each other. We just want you to grab 2 pages. And then if I click on the text box and then click on the I just want to show you that all my choices now are relevant to a text box, where if I click off again, everything is relative to a page. So whatever you add, and then if you want to format it or make some changes, whatever you click on will be what appears under the I button. So the formatting for that object will be, it's like a 1-to-1. So the I always changes. The plus is where, again, you'll add your text box. And so if I grab pages 6 and 7, if I click on pages up here, it looks like a slideshow grid view. So if I signed up for 6 and 7, then I know that these are going to be my 2 pages. And so I'll just click on 6 for right now. And so on this page is where I'm going to want to either add a video. I for sure want to add a video of my animations, but I could also add pictures or whatever. So the nice thing with Book Creator is that you don't have to go outside to a different app. The webcam is built right in. So if you just click on that button and your camera, you can choose to take a photo or record a video, and it'll go right into Book Creator. So that's a really nice feature because it's just all built right in. And then your second page is where you'll add your text. So again, you'll just click on the plus symbol, grab a text box, and then, you can write your story, format your story. You've got a few formatting tools right here that you could do a little bit. You could click on the microphone and you can speak your story, so it has a lot of accessibility features built in that makes it really nice. And I'll just say done. And if I click on it again, go to the eye, I can format it in some different ways that I want as well. So we're trying to keep this simple. There's a lot more Book Creator can do, but for the sake of this, we're just inviting you to add a text box, add your story, and use the camera feature to record your animated animal and or pictures if you would like. So we're trying to keep it simple, but collaboratively we will write this story. And I'm going to undo this so that somebody else can take pages 6 and 7 if they want. And again, this is just to help us so that everybody knows where their space is without writing over other people. So again,
No
there's more that
question.
the creator can do, but that's brief. Yes.
So when I click the link, I can see your library and I can click the book, but it's like I'm reading the book. I don't know where to go so that I can edit your book.
When you first logged in to Book Creator, did you click student or
I clicked student, but then I saw that I could leave the student account and switch to teacher account. So
okay?
I did that, but now I don't know if I can join your book.
Try this and we can put the let's see. So the other thing that another way to join it is if you are in you can see the book. So you must already be in the library because when you are, let me just go back here. So you can see the book, but you don't see the edit button in the middle of yours.
All right. I
Is
can
that
see it
happening
under
to
shared with me.
Is that happening to anybody else?
That happened
Okay.
to me, but I clicked in and out a couple times and then it just magically started working.
Guess why it just started working. Okay, I'm good.
Technology, right?
So
There's no
I can see the book, but it's just letting me read it. But I didn't put a code in where it says this BRBZC7, that code that was put in the chat. I didn't. Oh, now it's saying, wait.
If you click on the cover of the book, it let me all of a sudden.
It let you put the code in?
It let me edit it after I clicked on the cover of the book after a while.
So it should
I did not have to enter a code or anything.
well, do it 2 different ways. So like when I click on invite code, it could be that people click on the join button and then they could type in the code, or by us copying the invite link, it just embeds it all together. So that's the link, but I mean, we did it as a bit.ly and this shouldn't make any difference, but let's just, so that's the non-bit.ly link, but it should point to the same thing. This is why we wanted to have, I would say, side note, but we did not do a second meeting last year, and that was feedback that we got, was to do a second meeting, because there's a lot of moving parts to this one, and we just want people to be able to like make sure they can get into all of this. And all right, so Corinne, are you the only one that's still having a struggle to get in?
I think so, yes.
Corinne, try going to the second page, because there's really nothing you can do on the cover, so that might be the problem.
No, I've flipped through all the pages and
Oh.
oh wait, just a second. Let me see. So yeah, it's not showing the little pencil, like the edit button on any of the pages when I click through it.
It won't show you the edit button, but on like if you go to page 2, do you see a plus sign in kind of an yellowish orange at the top of page
No.
2?
You know what? We'll do some more troubleshooting with you, Corinne, because I'm not sure right now, but we will make sure that we get you success.
So mine says copy of if I built a zoo. Should it say copy at the top?
No, it should say 25. Try clicking on did you click on the last link that I put in there?
In the chat.
I'll try it again. The challenge was the book creator wouldn't open for me in Chrome, so I had to open it in Microsoft or in Explorer, and then so I'm going back and forth between two different ones.
Okay.
So let me go back to this book creator one that you gave us. So when I do that, it says I need to enlarge my browser. So it automatically takes me to a different.
I've had that happen before, but yeah, we'll follow up with you on that one. I've had that one before myself, and it's been like when I've been on different devices, but is your screen like I'm on a 16-inch screen? Like how big is your screen? Are you on a small screen?
I don't really know the size, but it's a standard laptop. Like it's not super small or anything like that.
It might be that you've minimized the screen though to see the Zoom meeting. So, you know what I mean? Like if you minimize the Zoom meeting and open up your browser screen, you might have, does that make sense?
Yeah, except I have the Zoom meeting minimized already, so I don't know why it's doing that. But it's okay. You can move on, and I'll figure it out afterwards.
Yeah, we can always stay on. Do you want me to just run through the resources really quickly?
Yeah.
All right. So we know we threw a lot at you. We really wanted to do this tonight so that you at least opened your boxes. When I opened my Hummingbird box, because I've played with it before, I realized I'm missing the connector to my computer. So I could not do much of anything to help anybody tonight. But at any rate, we've got, just some resources about computational thinking, competencies. We've got some resources from the state. We've got our Project Tomorrow resources, Digital Promise, and Equip Learning resources. So these are just for you. I believe we even have them linked other places in the course, but we just always want to make sure that you've got access to these at your fingertips. I think the most important thing we can tell you is when all else fails, go to the Fig Jam. The Fig Jam has a lot of details, so that's really going to walk you through box 2. But please reach out anytime you have trouble. This it's not quite the last page, but this is book creator resources if you want to get a little fancier. And I believe we have that in our virtual classroom as well. You've got a link to this. Judy, do you want to go to the next screen? I think Judy's having a connection issue. Okay. Those were your book creator resources. We just wanted to, did we lose her completely? All right. It's that kind of night, right? We're pressing on. So we just wanted to let you know that if you happen to be at McCall, we will be presenting about this series. So we would love to see you there. We'll be there on Wednesday as a workshop from 1 to 3. And we have more supplies. So if you're interested in, picking up another microbit or any, create, some of our creative items that we put into your boxes. We'll have those as well as some extra books. So please stop by if you're at McCall. And the last part of our evening is just what are you walking off with? What is it that you're taking along with you this evening? You could just unmute and share. Hopefully not a lot of frustration.
I like the kit of supplies and the hummingbird. I used the microbits in class a lot, but when I first started using them, I was like, whoa, what is this? But I can say that the more you use it, the more it just becomes like second nature. The hummingbird kit, and I was looking at it yesterday. I opened the box yesterday, and it looks like something I could really use with second graders because seems safer than some of the other connections. And it's definitely like things like Arduino. Those are like, to me, those are like still way more advanced than what I'm used to. So Microbit really kind of takes it down to that beginner level. I like the way the Hummingbird kit just looks safer. So I feel like I'm going to use this more like with second graders and things like that. But I really like I want to explore the Hummingbird kit more and the extension, yeah, and the servos.
That's great. Anyone else? What you're walking away with tonight?
So I did get in to BookReader. I had to go into a different browser and put in the link that you sent with the actual code, that our BRBZ code. So I got in, and I'm just really excited because I'm a literacy coach in Livonia, and this is like so out of my wheelhouse comfort zone, but this is so exciting. I have two teenage boys at home that will probably want to help me with this, so I'm just really excited to explore a different content area, I guess. I don't know. In my head, I thought it was math, but then now I feel like it's more technology, but I like the integration with the literacy and the interactive read alouds.
Love it. Yes, and I am in your same boat because Judy pushes me constantly to learn new things. And yeah, I feel like, I don't know, at this age, if I'm still learning, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like it's really exciting. And this whole hour and a half went by so fast. I can't even believe it's 7:30. I did want to ask though, in terms of getting these kinds of resources for schools, or is this the kind of thing that you would have to write a grant for? Because I would love to talk to the, like, Project Lead the Way teacher, or some other people in my district to find out how to, like, because basically you would need one of these hummingbird kits for each kit, correct?
Yeah, and I think, yeah, that's the $1 million question, is the funding of these resources. And so, like, even for this group, we wrote a grant, the Education Instruction Technology Grant last year that the state was providing. And so that's how this was funded for all of you. I'll have to look. I'll send it out. There was something that I just sent out that had some grant opportunities, but I know grants are kind of a hit or miss thing. It takes a little bit of time, of course, to apply for them, but the microbits themselves are like in the $20 range-ish, depending on where you find them. And then the hummingbird kits were a little more expensive, but so the microbit does come with the hummingbird kit. So that was something that we learned because we thought we had to do one separate. And each kit was about like $220. So the kits were a little more pricey, but it's everything that you need is in there. It did not come with the batteries, so we did have to buy the batteries, but yeah, we can look and send some things your way, at least to give you maybe a starting point of funding for some of these.
Yeah, that would be great, even if we could just do it as like an enrichment project or something. And I'm thinking in our district, we have the Livonia Foundation grant. So like I could talk to some other teachers and write a grant, just to do it like as an after school club. But I just think it would be really cool if we could, like, I'm blown away by the fact that we only had to pay $25 to do this, because like the resources that we got in both boxes are like amazing. So.
Well, and the nice thing with the hummingbird kit too, because when Laura and I did this last year, we used some different products and those were good. But the nice thing with the hummingbird kit is that everything you need is in the box and it's all compatible. And they just have all the tutorials. Like this stuff was designed with kids in mind. So there's tutorials for everything. So it's like it's all there. So you can do, and again, your entry point can be very low, or you can make it go high. You can code with blocks, you can code. But the nice thing is it's like it's all there. So that convenience of it was a real selling point for us. And I think I remember it was Corinne, maybe you said it, but when I was at ISTE last year, it seemed like every station I was at that had animated cardboard constructions, it felt like it was make do's connecting the cardboard, and people were using Hummingbird kits. So even though, again, that there's a lot of other products out there and they're all wonderful in their own way, this just feels like the easiest onboarding to some of this.
Well, I know
But
somebody
thank you
else
guys
in the group.
oh,
Sorry, I just know somebody else in the group said that you could do this with second graders. And so like I work in multiple buildings that are all K4. So I think it would be really exciting to get some of these kits to do like an enrichment project or something with just a handful of kids after school.
When kids are, I mean, you guys know this, but kids are amazing because where we might, as adults, have reservations, kids just go all in. I mean, they have ideas and visions, like just give them the tools. They'll take it to the nth degree. So, but it is 7:30, so we want to honor your time. Laura and I are happy to hang on if you have questions or other things, but we really are genuinely excited that you're, with us on this journey, and we keep learning from you, and we're tweaking things as we go along, and we are really excited to see what all of you make and create. So we hope you have fun along the way. This is not meant to be a stressful workshop. It is hopefully a playful and, a good learning connections to literacy and all that. So thank you. And again, if you have any other questions, we're happy to stay on. Otherwise, stay warm and have a great night.
Night, everyone.